Welcome to Cool Dude Clem's Electronic Workshop with me, your host, Cool Dude Clem. Well, good morning or afternoon or evening or whatever time you happen to be watching this video. It's Cool Dude Clem here. And you may remember in my previous video I got myself a laser printer. Well, now I'm going to try to etch my own PCBs with the PCB Wizard program. Of course, as this is something I'm doing, it will probably end up as a complete fail, but let's see how things go on. For those of you who haven't seen the video of the printer, there it is. And here are some of the things I printed. First we have the test page to test the printer was working. That printed out alright. Now, this picture is particularly interesting. I went round to the Simpsons house and took a picture of Lisa, just to see how well pictures would print out on the printer. And, well, she started swooning all over me. I have that effect on all girls, so that's why she's got that expression on her face. Next along, just a Bart and Lisa. So, I'm a Simpsons fan. What are you going to do, sue me? And lastly, He-U-She circuit. You might remember this circuit. I printed this out just to make sure that the size and everything was alright. When I first printed this out, I thought the size was all out, but if I put a real 555 chip on top of the printed one, no problem with the size. They all line up perfectly. And from what I've seen in a lot of videos, people have used glossy paper to do the transfer with. So I've gone through my box of paper and found some glossy paper. We have this stuff here, which is kind of glossy, but probably not glossy enough. And this stuff, which is absolutely crazy glossy. As you can probably see, there's a lot of reflected light in there, so that's the paper I'm going to print it out on. Okay, so I have PCB Wizard loaded up with the circuit that I want to print out. And incidentally, you might be able to see the holes on the grid. If you can't, then blame my camera. But I've noticed on the screen everything seems to be life-size as well. Again, if I put this chip up to compare it with, you might be able to see that the holes are exactly aligned with the pins. And I have the printer ready to print. Well, actually, I don't have it ready to print because it's not even turned on at the moment. Just let that get itself ready. Problem is, the paper I put in has sort of retained the shape of the box. As you can see, it's curving up, so I don't know if that's going to jam in the printer. Hope it doesn't. That's the super glossy stuff that I want to print on. Now, I'm going to load up the solder side artwork because that's what I want to print. I'm just going to set up the printer, make sure everything is as dark as it can possibly be. We want really dark. We want it to lay the toner on the paper as much as it can. I'm sure you can't even see what I'm doing, can you? Okay. Print it. And the papers instantly got jammed. Would you believe it? Because of the stupid will not stay flat. Excuse me while I go on a quest for flatter paper. Hopefully I've got some of that super glossy stuff somewhere that's not all blah, blah, blah. Well, no avail in trying to find the rest of the glossy paper. However, I did manage to get the printer to print. It was simply the fact that I hadn't told the printer what type of paper I had used. But here it is in living proof. He-U-She circuit. Unfortunately, we have a bit of a catastrophe here. This is the board that I'm going to transfer it onto. And if you're wondering what all this crap is on top of it, well, I was playing one of my tapes in my reel-to-reel tape recorder, and it started shedding big flakes of the magnetic coating all over the place, and this was here at the time. Fortunately, as none of it's on the actual side that I want to print onto, I'm just going to have to clean this up, then see if I can iron the circuit onto the board, and we'll see what things go from there. First of all, gotta clean this board. As you can see, it's full of fingerprints. Gotta get that oxidization off and all that other crap that I've put on there. Okay. I spent another 10 minutes or so cleaning this board with white spirit, methylated spirit, even Lynx shower gel to try to get it clean, and I think this is about as clean as it's going to get now. When in doubt, use harmful chemicals. Next thing I'm going to do is tape my design onto the board. I've got my design taped onto the board, and I'm going to warm up the iron, put that on there, and see if anything happens. And of course, it is so dark out here in the hallway that the camera simply cannot focus on the thing. I mean, all we've got lighting it up is one of these silly CFLs, which actually does look quite bright on the camera, surprisingly. But those things are DIM. I mean, you get a 15 watt CFL, which is supposed to be like about 60 watt, I guess. It's no brighter than a 15 watt ordinary light bulb, so I don't really see the point in those things. Well, it should be ready now. So there's the circuit board. I'm going to put a bit of paper on top of it so as to avoid friction. Now, I'm pretty sure this is up to temperature. So, firstly, they say put it on the thing for about 30 seconds and apply tons and tons of pressure, so that's what I'm doing. I have no idea when 30 seconds will be up. So I'm just going to do a rough judgment. Okay. Well, the iron's certainly sticking to the paper, and the tape's melting. It's obviously up to heat. I was afraid this would happen. Now I've just got to go like this. Well, back in the room now. It's cooled down, so I'm going to peel the tape off, which unfortunately melted. I was hoping it would withstand the heat. And I'm touching the board with my fingers there. So there's yet more fingerprints all over them now. I'll try and peel all this off. Oh wow, that worked better than I thought. Think it could have been a bit more thorough though, but let's just get a closer look. And my camera battery is really running out. I'll just go over some of these faint traces with the pen, touch them up, and see what we get. So my advice to you when you're doing this, use really glossy paper because it seems to work really well. I didn't even need to soak this in water. One touch up with the pen later, and I think we're ready for etching. If I turn it round, as you can see, everything's the right way around. I've touched up some of those dodgy looking traces with the pen, so I'm now going to attempt to etch this. Okay, time for an acid bath. Just going to pour the acid in first. This stuff stains everything, so I've got to be careful. Okay, that should be enough for one etching. Stuff looks like pee. Now I've cut the circuit out, so I'm just going to drop it into the acid. I'm going to keep agitating it. I'll come back when the etching is complete. It's about 20 minutes later or so, and some of that copper has come off now. You can still see some around the edges where the tape is. Strange thing is, when I put this board into the acid about a minute later, you might be able to see it on the camera. Well, you can see around the edge there where there's no copper, that's gone. But we've got some of this weird brown stuff. Don't know what that is, but when I put the board into the acid, it turned the exposed copper brown. I've absolutely no idea why it did that, but it is slowly dissolving it. There is no copper there. I think it's mostly gone from there. apart from where the tape is, because there's still some tape around the edges of that board. Well, ladies and gents, it is done. I'm sorry if the picture quality is crappy and all jerky, but I cannot use my camera at this point. This is the camera I use, because the bloody battery's gone. There it is on charge. These things are absolute pants. They don't last 1/10 of a femtosecond. So I'm having to record this next bit with the webcam. But it is done. Etched. Of course, I've no idea how this thing is actually recording, because the picture is coming out all jerky. Seems to jerk when I move the camera a lot. I don't know why. Must be something to do with the compression I'm using. I've got to try to get all that toner off now, and I don't know what to use. Got the faithful white spirit and methylated spirit over here. Maybe one of those two will take it off. I think you're supposed to use acetone or acetone or whatever the hell it's called, and I don't know if you can get that here. But let's see how this turns out. Okay, I'm going to try methylated spirit, and I've got to talk quite low because the microphone on this camera is so damn sensitive. I cannot talk in my usual loud voice. I've got a cotton swab soaked in white spirit. Let's see if that takes any of that toner off. It doesn't, does it? Well, as you can see, it is quite late at night, so I'm not going to be able to get to the shops and get anything to remove that toner with. So in the meantime, I thought I would drill out all the holes. As you can see, I've got them all drilled. That did take some time, but they're all drilled now. Use a tiny little drill bit, which is this one right here. Got quite a few drill bits here. I'll just use a simple hand drill to drill the holes. The only trouble is, when I drilled the holes, if we look at it from this angle, you can see that it's quite rough where each hole has gone through, so I've had to get a big drill bit, or bigger drill bit, and just go like this where every hole is. It's a bit difficult to do this one hand. Just do this to each hole, because this is fiberglass board. Yeah, it's nice and smooth. So I'll do the rest of that, and I think we'll have to do the rest of this experiment in another video, because this is getting too long already. Well, despite the look of this, it does look quite manky. It's just the way the light's shining off it. It does look a little bit better like this. I've tested all the circuit tracers because there is a little bit of copper exposed where I've drilled the holes. I tested them with my meter and they all test good. For instance, if I would test this trace here, I'll put the test probes on. As you can hear, the meter is beeping. So, got to find some kind of chemical to remove all that toner, and then I'm going to solder all the parts onto this board and see if it works. But that's all going to be in another video because it is really late now. It's just gone 11 at night. So until next time, goodbye.